everyone, it's your boy Buck Says, back again for another video. And I say back again for another video. This one has taken literally about 14 takes to film. One take, Buck is over. And it's because it's such a sensitive topic. And the topic obviously is around the big news surrounding Joe Rogan, his Spotify deal, his influence, and also coming out recently this weekend is his racist behaviour in the past, his abhorrent comments, which he's already admitted to and he's tried to take responsibility for. And don't get me wrong, really racist, and he'll have to answer to his friends and his family for that. That's, between him. I believe in God, so between him and God. But I don't know, it's really interesting, isn't it, with cancel culture, because this is a form of cancel culture, and people are now, going through his past content and looking through it. And I don't get where the buck stops, because I know there's statute of limitations, etc. And you can't endorse the behaviour, right? You can't endorse any of this behaviour. But what I want to know is, I did not watch Joe Rogan 9-10 years ago when he was appealing to a very different audience, I think, than he's appealing to now. I watched Joe Rogan when he was interviewing Robert Downey Jr., when he was interviewing Matthew McConaughey, like big celebrities. And so to anyone that has seen him, you can answer this better than me, but was there discernible change? And if there was, can we assume that there's been development? If someone says racist remarks, do we assume that they're racist forever, or do they have the capacity and the development to change? Should they be given the opportunity to change? Should he be given the opportunity to change and give a platform to more positivity, right? I think that's the thing. So from what I've seen about Joe Rogan is that whenever I was watching him during the BLM times, he was really pro BLM. Now I can't answer the veracity or the truthfulness of his intent underpinning the issue. I don't really know. I'm not in his head. But from all intents and purposes, what it seemed like to me was that he was very pro the movement. And so, years are a long time. And where the problem with cancel culture lies is, does it allow for development in its scope? Or is it binary in its decision making? If I said something wrong when I was 17, I'm not saying I have, but if I did, should I never be allowed to change that? If I did something very wrong when I was 26, and I've made tons of mistakes in my life. I've made mistakes with people. I've obviously, I've upset people, upset family, upset friends. Should I be given a chance to remedy that? Should I be given a chance to just develop as a human being? I think I should. And I struggle sometimes to see the difference between myself and celebrities, right? I struggle. In the first instance, I don't know why we put people on a pedestal like that. In reality, do I care about Joe Rogan? Probably a bit rich coming from me, considering I'm trying to monetize the issue. And when I say monetize, I'm nowhere near to monetizing the issue. But I'm talking about it because it's just I don't know where the buck stops, right? Like, should we all? I mean, we should all hold ourselves to obviously the highest standard, right? Times have changed, times have developed. But, 20 years ago, people had a lot of different views than they have now. Even my parents my parents are pretty progressive, so it's pretty difficult to label them with that. But, I know aunties, uncles, people within the Asian cultures have very different views to the Western world around them. Should we be challenging our parents and family? And I'm not sure that we do in the way that we challenge some celebrities. Should we challenge people just because they've been given a platform? And sometimes you're challenging people that you're not even their platform, and that's the kind of stuff I don't understand, right? I think a lot of the people, I read a tweet from Snowden which said a lot of the people criticizing Joe Rogan have never watched Joe Rogan, and I think it's have people been there that whole time? Have they watched his development as a podcast? Have they watched his development as a man to establish whether or not he still holds those views now, or whether he endorses them? Irrespective, it's wrong regardless, right? And obviously, it's difficult. The reason I filmed this about 14 times was because I don't want to be bunched into that rhetoric of being racist and, anti-vax. It's not even about anti-vax. I think the problem is what's happened is they're conflating that, right? I think what you get right nowadays is that when someone is racist, or they prove to be racist, they must be anti-vax. They must be a Republican. They must be a Tory. They must be selfish. And I don't think it exists like that. I don't think it exists like that very much. I don't think if you're that, you can be bunched into a group of 50% of people that you don't like, right? And that's what sits wrong with me. It sits wrong with me that we seem to be in an environment where we continuously want to condemn, where no one can make mistakes. Everyone's got to be perfect. Well, not even everyone. I mean, look, we're not perfect, right? You go into your WhatsApp chats, you go into your prior emails, look, I know some people who, the way they act in relationships, the way they talk, like, or, how emotional they get, or how they get with friends, or the jokes they make. Like trying to I don't know where the buck stops, or prior behavior when you're a kid, right? When you're 17, 18, and obviously it's very different, right? Because I get the point around influence. When you have a certain level of influence, you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility not to misinform, to not miseducate. But shouldn't that responsibility be shared by all of us? Is it Joe Rogan's fault that he became a focal point for the US, that he has probably more listeners than mainstream media? I don't know if he obviously was seeking that. He obviously signed a deal with Spotify, and on that deal, by the way, totally selling out, because if you sign a deal with a corporation, if you sign a corporate contract, you're beholden to corporate standards. So in some senses, he made his bed when he did that. And I get the point, but you just forget Joe Rogan for a second, right? Like, he is the least of our problems. He's the least of our worries, right? I don't even think we hold our own families to that standard, right? Excuses like, this person's in a generation that's, they ain't going to change their way of thinking. Well, why aren't they going to change their way of thinking, right? For people that probably, and I can't talk for all of you, and I can't tell you what to do, and I can't sit here preaching holier than thou. But I'm just saying, in my experience, my own personal experience, it's very hard to challenge family, or you find it very difficult because you hold positive notions about them, that you're family, right? But when people we don't know, we jump at them. And if I saw someone making racist comments, I would like to understand why they were making racist comments. I would like to understand where is it coming from? Is it coming from a place of privilege? Is it coming from a place of ignorance? Because I'm sure that's where it comes from, right? That comes from maybe a very dark place, right? Is it coming from upbringing? I don't know, right? But like, to engage in that dialogue, I don't think the best way or the most conducive way is to attack someone or to bring them down. Especially when we don't try to verify intentions, right? I think intentions are the big thing here, right? Joe Rogan is a small part of this problem, man. He's actually really a nobody in the grand scheme of things. My big issue is people seem to cancel the most... Joe Rogan is irrelevant, right? I mean, even if he gets cancelled, he goes over to YouTube, he takes his following with him. I mean, it's the same way when Trump was off Twitter. People go to Alex Jones, Ben Shapiro. People always find someone. You cut off one head of the dragon, 3 emerge. You're not ever going to silence people. People always find a focal point for their way of thinking. So silencing people almost seems counterproductive. Wouldn't it be more productive to engage in dialogue and try to understand? And that's the point. And, we should probably be trying to do this on a micro level with people that hold different views. Sometimes it's so easy to alienate people that hold different views to us, because it's a place of comfort. You're around people that you belong with, people that hold the same ideals and the same thoughts that you do. But I think a place of comfort is, comfort is the enemy of change, right? If we really want to change humanity, we've got to change the way we engage in systems. I mean, Joe, who is Joe? You know what I'm saying? He's a guy that interviews people after fights, and he talks to celebrities. It's crazy, man. Politicians holding parties while people's families and loved ones are dying. And these are the people that have the, Joe Biden, he enacting racist policies. He said tons of racist things in the past. The Rock, who's renounced Joe Rogan, as he rightly should, man, if he aligns that to his values, and I'm sure it's probably coming from a personal place for him. But, look at what The Rock has done, man. Appropriating cultures, appropriating accents in his previous work with WWE. Stuff we all laughed at as kids. Should we be beholden to laughing at that? Appropriating the culture of South Asian people, calling John Cena like a transvestite, a Wonder Woman dressed transvestite. These are the things, right? Having watched that, have we endorsed that by watching it? Have we endorsed it by being fans of The Rock, going to his movies? Where does the buck stop? And that was The Rock then, right? The Rock now, is he different? Has he grown? Has he developed, matured? Again, that comes down to the point of intent. I think there's a lot bigger fish to fry in the world. I think that the leaders we have currently in the free world, so to speak, don't lead by example. You know, Boris. I mean, people, his own party are trying to get him out. They can't do that, and the resistance to change, the resistance to dialogue. People just hate. They hate, right? It feels uncomfortable. It feels uncomfortable consistently being on witch hunts against people. I've got to always pick a side. Am I anti Joe Rogan? Am I pro Joe Rogan? Am I anti-vax? Am I pro-vax? Am I a Tory or am I a Labour? Am I a Democrat or am I a Republican? I'm pretty much getting exhausted. All I want to do is be able to chat to people, live life in a positive manner, and let other people live and love in a positive manner. I don't really care what people say. Should we, should we be held to the same account as celebrities do? I think we should. I think we should be conducted. If we're expecting perfection from those in positions of power, I think that starts from those at the bottom, right? We can't expect our heroes to influence us in a positive way if we're not willing to educate ourselves. So look, Joe Rogan, irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. Whether or not he gets cancelled, it doesn't matter to me. I think that's really his business. It's nothing to do with me. But what makes it seem difficult to me is how much all these things are conflated with money and capitalist agendas. I've seen an overwhelming amount of people, from friends to family, talking about this and condemning him. But there's a lot more important people to condemn. And I don't know, should we start condemning members of our own family? Should we start cutting ties with people? And I just think it's counterproductive. It's not conducive to change. And I think if we really want to change, and I don't want to be preachy or whatever, but I think if we really want to change, we want to educate ourselves first. And in order to educate others, I think that the only way to do that is through love and respect, even if they don't conduct themselves in that manner. If I don't think bringing yourself down to the level of someone who engages in any sort of discriminatory or any sort of evil manner or something that doesn't align to your skill sets, I don't think engaging with them in a way that rises to quite a level that maybe they want to engage in, I don't think is productive in getting a point across or engaging in any form of debate. I think my worry is, especially with someone like Joe Rogan, is that what's going to happen here is, people that do worship him or have the hero worship around him are going to find that their hero is being disenfranchised and he's being attacked, and the conspiracies will be that he has a bigger audience than mainstream media. They're coming for him. Someone like Donald Trump, who's waiting in the wings, comes in 2024, brings Rogan out, endorses him, goes on his podcast, and you have this continuously circular thing where 50% of the planet denigrate the 50% of the rest's views, and maybe rightfully so, but they do it in a manner which pushes them towards people that make the situation even worse. And I don't think we can afford that moving forward. I think we should put our pitchforks away, really, and we should engage in some nice civilized debate, just with some love and respect, really, because respect really is all you need on this planet. And like I said, to anyone affected by the comments, like I said, obviously I don't know how you're feeling about that stuff. I can't really answer. I'm sorry if any of his comments have affected you. By no means am I endorsing his behaviour. I just want to understand the wider implications of what is the best way to change stuff like this from arising, to actually move to a point where we don't hear stuff like this, to move to a point where people can just accept, live life and love without controversy. But I don't really know if that's ever going to be the case, because there's so many interwoven factors, stakeholders, different levels of intent behind things. And I just think it's profitable to be in separate teams, really. I think it's profitable. It's two sides of the same coin. But anyways, love, respect, and yeah, I hope everyone is okay and having a good week. And that's what Bucks has to say for this week.